We are getting to that time of year where we start to look back and see what is the #1 selling game of the year. And it is very clear that this year it is not Call of Duty, but rather a competitor to Call of Duty, one that went toe to toe with it this year and clearly took it down. Now, this is a rarity for Call of Duty. You see, in the past, Call of Duty has almost always come out on top when it comes down to what is the #1 selling game, coming in at tens of millions of sales every single year. But this year, they seem to have dropped off. And the year before that, they seemingly dropped off. And the year before that. So clearly something is going wrong with Call of Duty. But the question is how exactly did this happen? And how can we fix it? And I think we actually have a pretty good solution. So first things first, we need to go back to the golden era of Call of Duty. You see, the golden era of Call of Duty, I like to think it begins with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. You see, before this, there were basically two big war games, Medal of Honor and Call of Duty. Medal of Honor and Call of Duty both fell in the same kind of barrel in which they were both creating World War II shooters, going head to head, but a little guy known as Vince Zampella came forth and said, you know what, we're gonna change things up a little bit. And so Modern Warfare, or Call of Duty 4, was created. This game was absolutely massive, not just innovating on a war game by putting it in the present day, but also adding in RPG elements, leveling up, leaderboards, and everything that we've talked about in previous videos. And this carried through. But the game after that wasn't a modern game. It was actually Call of Duty World at War, made by Treyarch. And then the game after that was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, once again made by Infinity Ward. And then after that, they went into a completely different era with Call of Duty Black Ops 1. It's very clear to see year after year after year, things innovated and things changed, even going as far as to introducing a brand new mode, that being zombies with Call of Duty Black Ops. One thing was very clear, Call of Duty wasn't following the norms, they were creating them. And we saw game after game after game copy and try to follow what Call of Duty was doing. And this is what created the golden era of Call of Duty, an era that I consider going from essentially Call of Duty 4 to Black Ops 2, that general era of Call of Duty. Now that's the golden era, but what exactly happened? You see, as time went on, they started to lack in changes, and specifically I could think we can track this back to one thing and one thing in particular. You see, there was a lawsuit around the time of Modern Warfare 2, where Vince Zampella and Jason West, the leaders of Infinity Ward, got pushed out by Bobby Kotick, and in doing so, created a giant lawsuit. They ended up going to EA, and a new studio was created by Respawn. They created games along the lines of Titanfall and Apex, and all in doing so created another Call of Duty competitor. But as time went on, it wasn't just Titanfall or Apex, there was Battlefield, which, by the way, Vince Zampella, the creator of Call of Duty 4, is now the head of Battlefield 6, the game that just outsold Call of Duty this year. But on top of that, there was Fortnite. There were various other battle royales, and all of a sudden, other studios, other video games were ahead of Call of Duty when it came to shooters. One in particular absolutely being Fortnite. Going upwards of 250 million users, Call of Duty wanted a bite of that piece of cake. And so Call of Duty Warzone was birthed. Now with Call of Duty Warzone, they also went down with hundreds of millions of players. But after this is where things went a little bit sour, because the game that followed Modern Warfare 2019 and the game that followed Warzone was Black Ops Cold War. This would be the last time that Call of Duty would be on different engines year after year. And what I mean by that is Modern Warfare 2019 was on a different game engine than Black Ops Cold War. They felt different. And Black Ops Cold War, in fact, was on a different engine than Warzone as well. And because of that, you could feel the difference between the games. And some people didn't like that. But it did one thing. It made it so that every year you were paying another $70, the game felt different. It maybe even felt worth that $70. But after Cold War, every other game moved towards that Modern Warfare 2019 engine. And this is when things started to feel the same. Every single game, you go through another battle pass, more shops, more stores, more bundles, more of the same year after year after year. So here's the problem. As people have gotten bored of this, and as people have gotten used to the same formula year in and year out, sales have dropped off. So how do we fix this? I think there's two ways. Number one thing they did, again, starting in Modern Warfare 2019, was the Call of Duty cinematic universe. All of a sudden, the Black Ops universe was connected to the Modern Warfare universe, which was connected to Vanguard, which was connected to World War II. Everything was connected, which honestly, I have to say, I think is a pretty cool and novel idea, kind of going down along the same road of Marvel. The problem is when you start to tell really bad stories and everything is connected, for example, the new Modern Warfare 3, for example, Black Ops 7, all of a sudden it isn't just that one game that is completely messed up, it is the entire timeline. And without completely retconning things, saying I wasn't in that tank, for example, it ruins not just that game's story, but the entire franchise's story. And that is what we have seen happen. So I truly believe that, especially after Modern Warfare 4 next year, and we're currently on Black Ops 7, they need to lay those to rest. And I think the easy way to do this is come out with a new game, simply titled Call of Duty. Now, this game, I think you can do a few things with. You could go back to the basics and go to World War II and start a brand new timeline, brand new cinematic universe. That's one option. Or what I like a little bit better is that you start this game telling multiple different stories. Maybe one set of missions takes place in World War II, one set of missions in Vietnam, one set of missions in present day, and one set is slightly in the future. And maybe you take a couple of those characters, a Captain Price, maybe an Alex Mason, and throw those into bits, not main parts, but bits of that story, creating a new universe and giving a jumping ground to whatever games you want to do next. Now, personally, I think they should probably avoid Modern Warfare and Black Ops, but let's be honest, they're not going to avoid those names altogether. Now, that is personally what I think they should do moving forward, and in doing so, create new universes, which, based off of leaks and tweets that we've seen lately, it seems as though they are making a new franchise when it comes to Call of Duty 2027, which is said to be made by Sledgehammer Games. There's a lot of leaks going around that right now. We're not going to dive too far into that. But that is what we can do with new games. But I think there's a whole other era that we are missing. And this, or something very similar to this, was put on, I think, Facebook over a year ago. And recently, T-Dog picked it up and started talking about it. And what this is the golden era of Call of Duty, all put into one remastered collection. Basically, it's Call of Duty HQ, but instead of the new Call of Duty games, it is the old Call of Duty games, where you can play the campaigns of every single old game. You can play the zombies, the co-op, the multiplayer, all of it. And I think this is a brilliant idea and needs to be done, but also needs to be done very delicately. So say, for example, you are interacting with this interface, you could go and, say, for example, click on Black Ops 1. And when you launched it, the way that I would want it to work is I would want it to launch into the main menu of the original Black Ops game, where you're sitting in the chair, and that should be how that game feels. Now, here is the worry when it comes to creating this, and what I'm going to call this is the Call of Duty Classic Collection. Plain and simple. Now, here's the thing. Call of Duty each and every year goes beyond just the gameplay of that game. And if you added the campaign, the multiplayer, and the co-op for every single one of these games, it would be good. But then we get into the problem of, like, the Master Chief Collection, for example. How does the leveling work? Because believe it or not, I truly believe the leveling and unlocks are very important when it comes to a Call of Duty game. And personally, I don't think I'd want every single weapon from every single Call of Duty game to be in each and every game. I would kind of want each game to stand on its own so that I could level up through this remastered game. And if they're gonna do that, they probably shouldn't release them all at once. And this is the idea that we've been spitballing with over on Ink TV. And I think it should be that, yeah, maybe you make this classic collection, but not all of the games come out at once. You say outright and forward that this is going to include this set of games, but it's going to be launched over 5, 10 years. Maybe every 6 months to a year, maybe even 2 years, one of these games come out. Now, I want to be really, really clear with this. I think this is a brilliant idea and should and needs to be done, especially Xbox is going crazy with remakes after the Oblivion remake. I truly believe that this needs to and should be done, but it needs to be done correctly for the players and for the studio. So first things first, I wanted to talk about the players. Like I mentioned, I truly believe that in each and every game, you need to be able to level up in that game in and of itself. And a great example of this is the jump between Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 had a traditional leveling system where you'd go in and as you raised your rank, you would unlock more items, unlock different perks and even pro perks. But Black Ops was a completely different story as it revolved around something, believe it or not, called Call of Duty points. Not the points that you buy, but rather points that you earn for playing the game. You could then take these and wager them in wager matches, and then if you won, you could win 10,000 COD points at a time. You could then go buy weapons, you could buy attachments, you could buy perks, and then use those in games. And that's the way you unlock things. And that's the way that Black Ops worked. If you got rid of either of those systems and adapt a neutral system for both of those games, it would no longer feel like that original game anymore. And that's why I said I don't think they should launch all of the games at once in one giant collection. They should be their own standalone games, but maybe done through their own launcher. But here is the worry. If they do something like this, how do they monetize it? Because if you know anything about Call of Duty, they need to make their money. And the way that they do that currently, well, is in a lot of ways. First of all, you got to pay for it when it launches, and then you got to pay for the battle pass, and then there's bundles, and then it never ends. It never ends. And I truly believe that not only do they need to get rid of the battle pass model because people are simply sick of it, they need something brand new altogether. And here is what I came up with. And you can feel free to disagree with me or put your own ideas down in the comments, but they need to stop selling blueprints and they need to stop selling operator skins. Hear me out. What they need to be selling is camos as well as operators, because here is what I would be okay with in the situation of the Call of Duty Classic Collection. Say, for example, the camos that you earned in Call of Duty 4 could then be carried over to Black Ops. And then the Black Ops 1 could be carried over to Modern Warfare 3, so on and so forth as these games were released. Well, that's great. And then if you purchase camos, they can be used on any weapon across every game. And that is how they are all linked together. And on top of that, as the games release, new operators come out. So when Call of Duty 4 comes along, you get Soap, you get Price, you get the operators that are in that game. And as Black Ops 1's released, you get Frank Woods, you get Alex Mason, you get Hudson, you get Weaver. And that's how they implement new characters. You don't go crazy with the skins, but you actually put in the characters that you can buy that are from that game in and of itself. Now, I'm sure that is not enough monetization for Call of Duty, but that's a much better system that can be carried across all of the games. And I think that is the way that you tie it all together. You don't need bundle after bundle after bundle after a gun that turns into a rocket ship and launches in the air. If you could have a camo that you can purchase that you can use on every single weapon, and sure, make it a mastery camo that it does really crazy things. If you could use it across every single game within this collection, I think that would work wonderfully. So let's combine these two ideas, put them together. Say Sledgehammer comes out in 2027 with a brand new game simply called Call of Duty, and it is the launch of a new Call of Duty universe, a brand new story. Maybe they tie in some of the characters, maybe they don't, but it's a brand new Call of Duty story. But then the year after that, they launch the Call of Duty collection, and it starts with Call of Duty 4 Remastered, which we've already got, and you put one more game on it. So maybe you do World at War Remastered, and those are the two games that are on there for now. And they commit that every second year, they will release a new remastered game into the Call of Duty collection. Now, is it free to play, or do they charge a subscription fee? I don't love that. Or do they charge $70 for every single game that's launched into it? I don't know the best way to do that. And again, it's Activision, it's Xbox, that worries me. But I truly believe drip feeding the Classic Collection games gives people an opportunity to go in, grind them, level up, play them. And I want to take this a step further, because what I think they could do with events inside of these classic games could be amazing. Let me explain. So say, for example, eventually they introduce Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, not just the campaign this time, but also the multiplayer. If you played Modern Warfare 2 back in the day, there was some pretty crazy glitches in that game, and they were fun. I don't think they should leave those glitches in the game. I think they should fix them, but events should have them. So for example, one week you have the Model 1887 glitches, where akimbo Model 1887s essentially act as sniper rifles and you can use them like crazy. That ends. The next week, they introduce the Javelin glitch. If you don't know what this is basically you could run around with the Javelin, and if anyone killed you, it killed everyone. Everyone in that room died. And then that ends. The next week, they add in the airdrop glitch, which you could call in unlimited care packages if you knew what to do. Bringing back the old glitches basically gives them free content if they are able to do it. And I think that would be really, really fun to add in. So yeah, you balance the games so they're not different than the original, but maybe just like one-man army noob tubes in Modern Warfare 2. Maybe don't hate the messenger. Nerf the MP40 in Call of Duty World at War. But I think if all of those things were done in tandem, a new Call of Duty cinematic universe, bringing back the classics, that's how you bring people in. And those new Call of Duty games need to stop following trends. Yeah, cool. Creating DMZ and following the extraction shooter genre is going to be cool and probably do well, but you gotta have your own Call of Duty twist on it, like you used to with Call of Duty 4, like you used to with Black Ops 1. It's gotta be gritty. It's gotta be Call of Duty, because we have been missing that. And if you ask me, that is how you save Call of Duty.